Everyone, today we will discuss about Unit 8, that is social infrastructure. These are the objectives of the unit. First is to understand the concept of health, its provision, programs and challenges. Second is to understand the concept of education, its provision and challenges. Third and last one is to appreciate the use of technology for the safety and security. These are the different important components of social infrastructure: health, education, safety and security. Now we will discuss about health. The history of the word health dates back to year 1000 AD. This word originally came from Old English and it meant the state and the condition of being sound or whole. There are three different concepts of health. The earliest notion of health was the traditional medical concept, and it conceived uh, health as a disease free state. But it neglected the individual as a whole by overemphasizing specific diseases and part of the body. The second important concept is the one given by World Health Organization. This is the most widely accepted notion of health, and it has defined health in a more holistic manner. It defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well being, and not merely as the absence of disease or infirmity. This concept has been criticized as well because it is very difficult to measure social well being, and this concept looks too idealistic. The third important concept is the ecological concept, which is a relative concept that lays a greater emphasis on the interrelationships between the environment and the individual's quality of life. The health status of any population is reflected through the level of morbidity and the treatment seeking behavior of that particular population. If we look at the health status in urban India, then we see that the significant or major ailments are infections and cardiovascular, which account for 35.7% and 13.8% of the total ailments. The estimated prevalence of coronary heart disease is around 8 to 10% in urban areas among adults older than 20 years, representing a six-fold rise in urban areas over the past 4 decades. Prevalence of diabetes in adults is estimated to be around 12% in urban areas, and the asthma cases have also been rising up. The healthcare infrastructure in urban areas consists of community health centers and primary health centers. Community health centers serve a population from 2.5 lakh to 5 lakh. They are the referral facilities, 30 to 50 bedded facility, which are provided on every 4 to 5 primary health centers. On the other hand, primary health centers serve a population of around 50,000. As on 31st March 2019, there are more than 5,000 primary health centers uh, in urban areas functional in the country, but there is a shortfall of about 45% of PHCs as per the urban population norms. As per National Health Policy 2017, the existing primary health centers need to be converted into health and wellness centers to deliver comprehensive primary health care. There are around 350 community health centers functional in urban areas of the country. After the National Health Policy of 1983 and National Health Policy of 2002, a new health policy has been formulated in 2017. The goals of this National Health Policy of 2017 are the attainment of the highest possible level of health and well-being for all at all ages, universal access to good quality healthcare services without anyone having to face financial hardship as a consequence, increasing access, improving quality, and lowering the cost of healthcare delivery. The objectives of this policy are to progressively achieve universal health coverage, reinforcing trust in public healthcare system by making it more efficient and effective and patient-centric, then to align the growth of private healthcare sector with public health goals so that private sector can also contribute to making the existing healthcare system more efficient and effective. Then finally, outlining specific quantitative goals and objectives. The major thrust of this national health policy are ensuring adequate investment and preventive and promotive health through institutionalizing intersectoral coordination at national and subnational levels to optimize health outcomes. The National Health Mission was launched by Government of India in 2013. There are two submissions of this mission. First is National Rural Health Mission, which is applicable to rural areas. Then National Urban Health Mission. It seeks to improve the health status of the urban population, particularly urban poor and other vulnerable sections, by facilitating their access to quality primary health care. It covers all state capitals, district headquarters, and other cities, towns with a population of 50,000 and above in a phased manner. Then cities and towns with population below 50,000 will continue to be covered under National Rural Health Mission. There are various health programs which are run. Important ones are like under reproductive, maternal, neonatal, child and adolescent health are Janani Suraksha Yojana, National Program for Family Planning. Under national nutritional programs are National Iron Plus Initiative for Anemia Control, Midday Meal Program, Integrated Child Development Services. Under communicable diseases are the programs like National Vector-Borne Disease Control Program, Program for Prevention and Control of Leptospirosis, Pulse Polio Program, National Rabies Control Program, etc. The urban areas are facing enormous challenges, and the major challenge is the geriatric care. This is the name for the specialized health and wellness services provided to the elderly population. At the world level, the elderly population has been increasing faster than the general population because of increase in longevity and declining fertility rates. Globally, it accounts for about 11.5% of the total world population, and it is projected to increase to about 22% by 2050. In India also, elderly population has been increasing at an increasing rate in recent years in the country. The share of 60 plus population is projected to increase from 8% in 2015 to 19% in 2050 and to around 34% by end of this century. If we look at the health status of the elderly population, then we find that chronic ailments are more prevalent among elderly women than elderly men. And according to 2011 census, the disability rate was also higher among the elderly population as compared to the general population. 80 plus women have higher levels of disability as compared to elderly men, indicating greater disadvantages. Now we will discuss the next component of social infrastructure, that is education. Webster defines education as the process of educating or teaching. Etymologically, the word education is derived from educare, which is a Latin word mean to bring up. Doomville has defined education in the widest sense. It defines uh, education as all the influences which act upon an individual during his passage from cradle to the grave. Professor Drever has defined education in narrow sense, and that is education is a process in which and by which knowledge, character, and behavior of the young are shaped and molded. In its technical sense, education is the process by which society deliberately transmits its accumulated knowledge, skills, and values from one generation to another. In modern times, two different shades of meaning are there: an institutional instruction given to the students in school, colleges formally, and a pedagogical science studied by the student of education. So it shows that there are different views and understanding of the meaning of term education. The philosophy of education is essentially a method of approaching educational experience rather than a body of conclusions. This exhibit presents the education and skill development structure in India, which is uh, quite large, diverse, and complex. The skill development programs and the other education programs can be categorized into three: academic, technical, and vocational. Engineering colleges and polytechnics are put under uh, technical education. AICTE is the regulatory body for regulating technical education in the country. As far as vocational training is concerned, there are formal channels of vocational training in the countries like government ITIs, privately operated industrial training centers, etc. DGET, Director General of Employment and Training, is the nodal uh, office for regulating vocational education in the country. Not all parts of the city have equal level of education. Therefore, there are many problems pertaining to education in slum areas. These areas have been defined by Census of India, Slum Area Improvement and Clearance Act 1956 Act. As per this act, slums are those residential areas where dwellings are in any respect unfit for human habitation by reasons of dilapidation, overcrowding, faulty designs of buildings, narrowness or faulty arrangement of streets, lack of ventilation, light or sanitation facilities, or any combination of these factors. According to the Census 2011, there are around 14 million households living in slums. The residents of these households include migrants, half of them being among the poorest of the poor. More than 8 million children under 6 years live in approximately 50,000 slums, and there are around 23 million children living in urban slums who are out of school. Therefore, these slums have been facing a lot of problems and challenges in terms of attainment of education. Important ones are: more than a decade after Right to Education Act 2009, there are millions of children who are out of school in India. Most live in urban slums and remote rural areas. A higher proportion of girl children are out of school than boys. Girls in slums are out of schools as they are engaged in domestic work or do not go to school to take care of the younger siblings. Boys drop out of school to supplement household incomes. Lack of healthcare facilities, absence of toilets in schools, and lack of proper nutrition also lead to an increase in dropout rates. Now, what are the educational institutions that exist in urban areas? This exhibit presents the educational structure in India, and here, as we can see, the uh, education below elementary level is provided by the pre-primary school. Then the elementary education is provided by primary and upper primary schools. Secondary education is provided by senior secondary and secondary schools. Then higher education is provided by the higher education institutions like colleges and universities. Of all the schools, around 60% of them are located in urban areas. Of all the primary schools, around 11% fall in the urban areas. Around 17% of upper primary schools, 30% of secondary schools, and around 41% of higher secondary schools are located in urban areas. It shows why the urban areas are important from education point of view. There are various policies related to education which have been formulated in the past. Uh, the Global Education Development Agenda has been adopted in India in 2015, which seeks to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. Uh, After the policy of 1987 and 1992, a new national education policy was formulated in 2020. This was the first education policy of 21st century and aims to address the many growing developmental imperatives. The principles of this national education policy are recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities, flexibility, so that the learners can choose any path, any program, emphasis on conceptual understanding than the rote learning, no hard separations between arts and sciences, then main focus upon creativity and critical thinking. The vision of this policy is an education system rooted in Indian ethos, transforming India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society, making India a knowledge power hub in the world, to develop among the students a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values. Education for increasing civic sense is really important. And civic sense or civic education means all the processes that affect people's beliefs, commitments, capabilities, and actions as members or prospective members of communities. Improved civic learning can address many of our issues and problems. The significance of civic sense is it increases the democratic accountability and promotes equality. These students become more equipped to learn about their fundamental duties and rights. It promotes civic equality as well. Students perform considerably higher than their counterparts, demonstrating the possibility of civic learning to fulfill the ideal of civic equality. There are several proven practices which can help us in increasing civic sense in the students and the learners. They can be encouraged to involve in services to the society simultaneously with the learning. They can be encouraged and allowed to participate in the school governance. They can be encouraged for simulations of democratic processes. There are various challenges before educational administration in urban India. Challenges like lack of sufficient funds, educational system in the country is of general education in nature, quality of education is compromised, and the educational institutions are just producing graduates with a degree. Due to infrastructural constraints and social issues, it becomes harder to make education accessible to all segments of the society. The cultural, ethnic, and lingual diversity in India poses challenges to implement consistent education nationwide. The dropout rate is very high in primary and secondary level. Urban and region and development plan formulation and implementation guidelines have um, set standards for health and education infrastructure in the country. The norms for pre-primary and secondary education are that pre-primary education serve a population of 2,500. Primary school should be provided uh, at every 5,000 population. Senior secondary school should be provided at every uh, around 8,000 population. At every 90,000 to 1 lakh population, one integrated school without hostel and one with hostel should be provided. A school for physically challenged should serve a population of 45,000. Then at every 10 lakh population, a school for mentally challenged should also be provided. As far as higher education is concerned, then a college should be provided at every 1.25 lakh population. Then technical institutes like Technical Education Center A and B, and professional educational institutions like engineering college, medical college, and other professional colleges serve a population of around 10 lakh. As far as the health care facilities are concerned, then a dispensary serve a population of around 15,000. Polyclinic intermediate hospital in intermediate hospital category A and B, multi-specialty hospital, specialty hospital should be provided on every 1 lakh population. Then veterinary hospitals should be provided at every 5 lakh population. Now, what is the difference between a healthy city, livable city, and a lovable community? Healthy city is the one that is continually creating and improving those physical and social environments and expanding those community resources which enable people to mutually support each other in performing all the functions of life and developing to their maximum potential. A healthy city aims to create a healthy, supportive environment to achieve a good quality of life, to provide basic sanitation and hygiene needs, to supply access to health care. On the other hand, a livable community is the one that is safe and secure. It offers choices in where to live and how to get around. Livable communities enhance personal independence, allow residents to remain in their homes and communities as they age, and provide opportunities for residents of all ages, ability levels, and backgrounds to engage fully in civic, economic, and social life. The livable city concept gives priority to attachment and meaning in the design of our cities. It ensures identity guides decision making. Social connectedness is valued equally with the connectivity of our infrastructure, and increasing urbanity is more important than density. Now, the third important component of social infrastructure, that is safety and security. There are various elements which can help us uh, in safety and security. Uh, those are like CCTV surveillance. These systems are used for surveillance and are suitable for monitoring movements in real time. It is a reliable, cost effective deterrent. Then, video door phone. It is an intercom system which enables communication between a resident inside of the building and a visitor at the entrance to that building. Perimeter fencing can also be used, which is embedded with sensors and that can generate alarms when they detect any sign of intrusion. Then there are various types of fire protection systems which help us protect against fire. There are active systems and passive systems. Then there are variety of hybrid alarm systems which allow simultaneously the installation of hardwired and wireless detectors, being the most versatile of all. Artificial intelligence and Internet of Things applications can also be used for safety and security in smart cities. Artificial intelligence is the intelligence shown by machines. On the other hand, Internet of Things uh, is an advanced system of interrelated uh, through internet connected objects which collect and transfer data over a wireless network without human intervention. There are multiple ways by which these two can improve the safety and security in smart cities. First is through video analytics. Um, this is a tool to maintain law and order across the globe because it can analyze large amount of video data uh, uh, efficiently and in a given time. Then sensors and cameras can also be used to analyze dense crowd for potentially threats. Then RFID and sensor enabled security systems can also be used uh, to restrict access to any protected facilities like airports, banks, power plants, and only authorized personnel can enter these government facilities. Patrol robots and drones are also used for monitoring potentially unsafe areas. They can detect any intrusion and uh, any inaccessible area can also be accessed through these robots and drones. These are the references and bibliography for this unit. Thank you.